Sandi Masori from DIY Balloon Art, Balloon Utopia, and Mark It with Balloons. Today we're making, actually we have a rather large job for the airport, and so one of the things that I need to make is a head for my surfer dude. So I thought that I would share it with you and show you how to make the head too. This is a Balloonicature head, and it's kind of a combination of styles that I learned from both Royal Moss and Larry Sorrell, Larry Moss and Royal Sorrell, but neither of them actually takes credit for it, so I believe I've married together the two different styles and kind of come up with one that is more or less my own. And I've been using this head style for, gosh, probably about 16, 17 years now, something like that. Alright, so what we're going to do, you see here that I have a bag full of inflated 260s, and we're not going to use the entire 260, so it doesn't really matter how much you inflate it. I would leave a good tail because you are going to put some twists in it, but ultimately you're going to be getting rid of the extra pieces. So I'd say maybe leave 2 or 3 inches at the tail end. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the ear, and we're kind of building a diamond. So we're kind of going ear, nose, ear, and then the back of the head, and then we'll be going, you know, kind of up and over. So we're going to start with the pinch twist, and actually what I found is that it makes a stronger pinch twist if instead of pinch twisting the first bubble, if I make a little bubble that I'm going to get rid of later, and then I make my pinch twist, just like that. Alright, so there's my first pinch twist. This one, that bubble there, I'll just be getting rid of. Alright, and now we're going to take about a handful, about maybe a 4-finger spread or so. And this is the tough part because I need it to be in scale with my surfer dude. You know, sometimes you just gotta play with the dimensions to figure out what the right size is. But I'm gonna make it about a 4-finger spread, just like so. And like I told you, we're going to be going around in a diamond. So here I have ear, cheekbone, nose, cheekbone, ear, and then I'm going to be doing the same thing on the back in the same dimensions. Just like so. There's one, and taking that one and doing it, okay? And now I'm just going to put it down and through to lock it. Now, I could use this piece of a balloon and build the next piece, but I actually prefer to just tie in a new one. I just find that I get more stability that way. So we're going to take this one. Would you mind flipping the thing so I can see it? Alright, so we're going to take this, and now what I'm going to do is the same thing. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to twist a little bubble here, and now I'm going to attach it to this ear, and I'm actually going to kind of sew it in. You see, I'm going to take that bubble and flip it around a few times. Now, this is not a beginner's balloon. There's a lot of pinch twists in it. Sorry, I've got a little cold here. There's a lot of pinch twists in it and a lot of kind of more advanced techniques, so I definitely don't recommend doing this for your very first experience with balloons. Alright, so you see that I have this here. I'm going to cut that away later. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of make, I want to go about, probably about that much. So this is probably, you know, a good full spread of my hand there. I would say that's probably about 5 inches, and a pinch twist, and then come back and measure it to match. Okay, and then we're going to tie it around here and put it through just like this. Okay, just like so. Alright, so now we have this. It's not looking like much yet, but it will. Just wait. Alright, so now we're going to take this piece that we just used for the top of the forehead, and we're actually going to make our first chin from it. And so here we just kind of want to look and measure about what looks kind of normal. I think like that is probably good. And we're going to sew that in. So again, you see that I'm pushing it down and through. And the reason that I keep doing this is so that even if I lose a pinch twist, everything's going to stay together. It's really tightly sewn together. Okay? Alright, so now we kind of have this. Now, I don't cut all of these pieces off until the end because I don't know where I might need to make repairs or need to adjust things. So for a while, it's just going to look kind of funky. Alright, so now we're going to take our next one. And this one is actually going to be our nose. So I'm going to give him 2 little nostrils, and then it's going to be going up as the bridge of the nose, and then coming back down as the back of the head. So once again, I'm going to start with the bubble, and then I'm going to make 2 tiny little pinch twists, My little surfer dude, you know, we don't need him to have a comically large nose. And so you see, I just kind of made my double pinch twist there by making a double bubble and then by twisting them, you know, to make the pinch twist. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is now I'm going to look at it and just kind of decide which side I think looks better. This one or that one. More symmetrical. I'm kind of liking this side better. All right, and I'm just going to wrap all of this around the nose like that. And again, sewing it in, always sewing it in. Making it good and tight, just like so. And I'm sorry that I don't have my mic today. We're kind of filming on location, so you know, we get what we get. All right, so right now you see it kind of looks like a nose, big bogey hanging out. We'll take care of that later. And here we're going to kind of measure where we want the nose bridge, like so. And I'm going to put this through the eye hole to sew it up a couple of times. I cannot stress enough how important it is to sew it through. I really can't, because that is going to give you the stability so that even if you lose a bubble, all you're going to have to do is replace the bubble you lost instead of starting from scratch. And it really makes a big difference. Okay, and then we're doing the same thing here in the back. And again, you see I'm sewing it through, kind of on each side, just like so. All right, so now we have, this is the back. This is actually what's going to connect it to his neck. And then here we have the front. So it's starting to take shape a little bit. And once we put the hair on, that's going to kind of flatten this out a little bit more and also give it some bulk. So the way that we do it is we start with our basic frame, then we give it the hair, then we'll put in the eyes and the mouth. All right, and like I said, we're going to keep this stuff on until the very end, and then this one will stay there. So now I want him to kind of be a blondie here. So now we're going to take the hair. All right, and I'm actually going to take two. We're using goldenrod at the moment. I'll give him some brown low lights later. And I'm going to take these and I'm going to tie these together, just like so. Okay, and now I'm actually going to make two little bubbles out of it because he's got bangs. You know, he's a California surfer dude. So we're also going to kind of give him some messy hair. We'll have some pieces coming up and stuff. Okay, and so now we kind of made like a little bow. So we're going to go back to our head and we're just going to kind of stick it through and then work it up to the top. Just like that. Just like so. And for now, I'm going to leave him with the bald spot. Eventually, we'll replace that, but not yet. Okay, and I'm just going to, again, sew it through a little bit more just to make sure it's good and stable. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to bring this down on each side, and then we're going to be making some bubbles. So don't be afraid to make this a little bit big right now. It will, as we go along, it'll tighten up as we add more and more balloons to it. So again, you see I'm sewing it through that ear hole, and then I'm going to have it hanging out like this. We'll come back to that in a moment. I'm going to do the same thing on this side here, sew it through that. You see, so I'm kind of wrapping it around and through. So I'm never putting all of my stress on that pinch twist, which is very important and is where I see people making mistakes, is they wrap everything onto that pinch twist, and then of course what happens is that pinch twist goes down and the whole thing falls apart. So as you notice, I'm going to take it through one more time, just like that. Okay, so here's what we've got now, and you can see it's kind of starting to take shape. All right, but now we're going to work on the back side. And what I want to do is I want to put a couple of bubbles, and then I'm going to attach to that pinch twist at the back of the head, kind of at the back of the neck. Okay, so there I'm putting a bubble. I'm wrapping it around the pinch twist, and then, you guessed it, sewing it through. Okay, and again, making a couple of bubbles, wrapping it around the pinch twist, like so. And then, once again, sewing it through. Okay, so now what I have here is some attachment points that I can bring his hair, because I'm going to give him a real full head of hair. All right, and all of these extraneous bubbles in due time, we'll get rid of them all. Okay, so for now, I'm going to bring this back up. You see I have it like this here. And I'm going to take both of these and I'm going to bring them back up here. And sew them back into through the eye hole and into the back of the head. So you see there's one. And then this other one here. And for now, I'm just going to leave this up here. Eventually, I'll kind of shape them and make it the little hairs that stand up. But for right now, we're just going to leave it all, just in case we need to repair something or put it back down. So that'll give us the freedom to do so. So here's how it's looking on the other side there. Let's see. If I put my hand up through here, you can kind of see. It's starting to take shape. And just real quick, commercial break. Don't forget to get a copy of my book, The DIY Balloon Bible for All Seasons, available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and through DIYballoonart.com. This head is not in this book, but there's a whole bunch of really awesome designs that are. So there we go, brought to you by the DIY Balloon Bible for All Seasons. Okay, we now return to our previous scheduled programming. So back to our head. We were here. We've got our little attachment bubbles here. We've got our little balloon sticking up. Right now it kind of looks a little bit like a mess. That's okay. All right, so we're going to take two more of our goldenrod 260s. And the reason that I'm using 260s for the head is, for the hair, is because I really want it to fill it and make sure that there's no negative space on the back. And the 260s will do it. Whereas I found if you use 160s, it's not as tight. So I'll use the 160s for the low lights. All right, so once again, I'm tying these together. I'm gonna work with these as a duplet. I'm sticking them through the eye hole. Sounds painful, doesn't it? Luckily, he's not live yet. He feels nothing. And then kind of working them up here to that little bald spot or that little pinch twist bubble that we have, and wrapping them around as always. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring it down to that attachment point we made, and we're gonna make a little pinch twist and then bring it back up again. So you see there's our pinch twist. I'm just gonna wrap it right there around our bubble. You see how I'm doing that right there. A little bit of a challenge to do it with everything backwards, but that's okay. And then I'm going to take this one here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to measure it down to here, twist it off, like that, get myself a little pinch twist, just like so, and then twist it into there. All right, so you see I'm letting the pinch twist do the work instead of trying to take the whole big balloon and move it around. Okay, and now I'm going to bring this back up here, and you see it's going to start to fill out that head. So once again, I'm going to just bring it here, kind of sew it around everything that I got going on here. Same thing with this side here. Going to move it up, bring it around, sew it on to everything I got going on here, just like so. All right, and you see now we got lots of balloons hanging up and around. That's okay. Eventually we'll take care of them. One of them will replace that little bald spot right there. Can you see that? And so one of them's going to replace that and be the little bubble that holds everything together. And then the rest will kind of just be like messy hair. But so now you can see that we've kind of got the shape of his head, more or less. Once we put the eyes in, the eyes will also kind of push the rest of his head out a little bit and give that counter pressure again. So the other thing that I want to do is I kind of want to make his bangs a little bit shaped. So I'm going to take it and just kind of divide it and twist a bubble that's about, you know, like a bird beak, so that it's kind of 2/3 and 1/3 or so, maybe 3/4 and 1/4. Just like that. So you see now we get a little bit of shape to those bangs. And let's see. The eyes that I was going to put are not going to work, so we'll come up with different eyes. You'll see that in just a bit. All right, so now it's time to, now we can start to get rid of some of this extra fluff here. The jaw we're not going to do till the end once we put the mouth in, and then we see what we need to stabilize it. So the first thing that we can get rid of is this big booger. We definitely don't need him hanging out with a, hey, scissors don't work. All right. We definitely don't need him hanging out with a big booger hanging out of his nose. So there you go. You see it starting to take shape. And let's see. I'm going to kind of just twist these off like that. And sometimes I might give him a third bang hanging down, but I think 2 is good. After all, he is surfing in the water, so. See, I twisted that off before I took the piece off and deflated it. And the same thing, now I'm going to just wrap this around a couple of times. I want to make sure that this is good and stable. All right. And I can always cut these down a little bit more. But for now, just to kind of get them out of my way. All right, just like that. Ooh, it's hot on this set, being surrounded by balloons. Okay, now before I get rid of the stabilizing bubble here, I want to go ahead and put in my low lights. So I'm just going to take my Mocha 160s, and again, I'm going to tie them into a duplet, just like so. And once again, I'm going to feed it through his eye, and then pull it up into our little connection point there. Okay, and now I'm just going to kind of bring it down and gently attach it and twist it into these little spots that I have here. And then actually what I might do is, well, probably I'll just kind of bring it around here. Here, let me bring this up so you can see what I'm doing. And do it here. Now, I probably could get away with just one 160 instead of 2, but I just find it so much easier to work with the duplets than to try to work with singles. So that's why we're going to do it that way. I'd always rather have more balloons than I need than not enough. It's easy enough to just get rid of some, whereas if you don't have enough, I probably shouldn't talk over the squeaking here, but if you don't have enough, then it's very difficult to, you know, to make it stretch. So I just always rather be over-prepared and not need as much as I've got. And of course, you know, that also depends on your pricing model. I mean, I make sure that in my pricing model, I've got the room to work the way I like to work. Okay, and see, I'm just twisting it around here. Just like that. And this all I can play with once I actually get the head onto the body as well. But now you can see here that we're really starting to get this kind of shape. All right, so now what we need is we need some pieces that are going to open up the head a little bit and also to give him the eyes. So I went ahead and I pre-inflated everything except for the eyes. I forgot that we weren't making a giant 3-foot head, and I started the process to make the big 3-foot eyes. So bear with me just a moment while I inflate some eyes here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some white 260s. Hey, there goes my head. All right, we're going to take some white 260s and just inflate this. Okay, now what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to leave myself a fair amount of line here. Okay, so you see that I didn't just tie it right off next to the nozzle. I actually gave myself a little bit of line because I'm going to use that to tie it in later. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to again kind of make that bird beak body. Oh, it's very hot in here. I'm going to again kind of make that bird beak body. So I'm going to make a small bubble. I guess that's about the size of my thumb. And now I'm going to make a bubble that's kind of bigger, maybe about a third bigger than the bubble that we just did. Just like that. And then you see that I'm using this extra piece to sew it through. Remember, I always really like to just make everything very tight. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So I'm going to make another bubble about that size and another bubble about the other size. And it's okay if it's not exact. in nature, things are not symmetrical, and anyways, half of it's going to be hidden. But you don't want it to be like super like way off, like, you know, like one's like that and one's like that. But if it's not exact, you're okay. Okay, so then I'm just tightening it up. And now you can see that we kind of have this shape here that's kind of giving this little bit of, there's a broader pit back here, and then here it's kind of coming in a little bit. And so what we're going to do is now we're actually going to get rid of the rest of the white. Okay, and let's just tie it off, make sure everything's nice and tight. And I'm not going to get rid of these pieces quite yet. Okay, so now here is the tricky part, because what we're going to do is we're actually kind of stuffing it inside of the space. So we're kind of taking the nose and putting it behind there, and then stuffing it in. And then you see where it's twisted, it kind of like forms a natural pressure fit there, just like that. Okay, but now we have some blank space right here, and I don't necessarily want this negative space there. So we're going to take a piece of a 260, I should say, and we're just going to kind of pressure fit it in there. So let's see. I think probably about that much is good. Stay. Okay, just like this. All right, so we have our little piece of our 260, and we're just going to kind of put it in here. Again, kind of stuffing it in the head, and if it's too big, then we want it to curve backwards. And again, I'm leaving the little tails on for now, and then later I'll kind of go through and manicure it. But we're going to, again, stuff this right under the nose and over the eyes. And then just kind of manicure it a little bit so that you get the bubbles facing the way you want. It's not entirely easy to do when it's facing the camera instead of facing me, so I will need to do a fair amount of manicuring off camera, I guess. Okay, so there, now you get the idea. It's starting to come together. And let's see. And if you wanted to, you could put a little 160 under here as well. I'm not really going to, because anyway, his head's going to kind of be partially down because he's surfing. So I'm not going to worry about it that much. And also, I need him to last for several days. So I don't want to do too much to him that might, you know, decrease his lifespan, because he's going to be up in the airport for quite a while. Okay, and now I'll cut this little string off here so it doesn't hang down his nose. And this is definitely, like, getting the eyes right is definitely a place that you're going to be playing a little bit to just, you know, fine-tune it and get it to be the way you want. All right. And now let me sew this little guy around. And get rid of a piece there. All right, now it's time to add the mouth. Now, if he was a girl, I would add like really cute little pucker lips, but because he's a guy, you know, we don't want the mouth to like really stand out too much. It's just kind of there a little bit. So we're just going to take the pink 260 and basically just go across, and then we'll fill in with more of the blush. Again, if it was a girl, I'd be doing it in red and like a really nice little pucker mouth. So you see I've twisted off a little bubble, and I'm just going to wrap this bubble around and through and around the jaw and sew it in, and then I'll be popping that later. And I really do recommend doing this where you can actually see what you're doing. Makes a big difference, you know. All right, and we're going to wrap that just like that. Okay, and then you see I'm just gonna kind of push it in. I'm not gonna give him teeth or anything like that. I want the suggestion of a mouth. I want it to be subtle. And I find that when you try to fill every nook and cranny, that those places are gonna stick out more. So if I keep it simple, then people will read it for what it's supposed to be and not get too like, oh wait, what is that? Oh, I see a gap or whatever. Okie dokie. And now we're going to take this little extra piece that we have hanging out right here, and this is the reason that we didn't get rid of it, is you see we're going to bring it around the back, just like so, and then tie it back in. So that's going to kind of keep everything stable and also take off the negative space there. And we're going to do the same one more time with this one here, which I'm just going to let a little bit of air out of. Ooh, excuse me. All right, just like this. All right, so now you see that our head is starting to come together, and it's starting to kind of take on a little personality. We still need to give him his eyes and finish out that part, and that's going to make a big difference there. All right, so let me wrap this around and like sew this in. Okay, and then I'm going to cut off this one. I'm done with that. Hey, happy birthday. All right, this pink bubble, I'm also going to get rid of that. We don't need him having any little boils on his ears. And I'm going to pinch twist this little piece here. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. Get rid of the pink bubble. Make sure that we have it sewed in tight. Get rid of this extra piece right here. And pinch twist in this little extra bubble there. Okay, so you see where we're at now? We're getting there. Alright, so now, you see I'm going to do a little bit of manicuring. And his eyes are a little bit far down. You could push them up higher if you want it. I'm okay with them being kind of down like that. Again, he's surfing, he's kind of looking down, he's concentrating, so I'm not so worried about that. I might want to bring the mouth out a little bit more forward. Not too much. Again, I want it to be rather subtle. So there we go. Now I'm going to get rid of this piece here. I don't need that there. Just want to make sure it's really tight first. Alright. And now I'm going to pop that bubble right there. So since I sewed everything through, not everything's dependent on that pinch twist right there, and I can get rid of it so it doesn't have that bald spot. Alright, and I accidentally popped a piece of the brown too, but that's okay. I'm not so worried about that. I can always add more in. Lots of squeaky deaky on this one. Alright. Hey, happy birthday. Oh, and I lost my pinch twist back here. So you see, if I hadn't sewn things so carefully, that right there would have been a devastating loss. That would have meant that I would have lost everything because everything would have been hinged around that. But because we sewed it all together, we just lost a bubble, not the entire head. Okie dokie. And then you see you're going to do a little bit of manicuring, playing with it a little bit. Shaping these wild pieces. And then we'll cut the little tails off of them. Okay, so here's what we have so far, and we're going to cut while I get some Sharpies, and then I'll come back and show you how I make the eyes. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I do the eyes. And so what we're going to do is, first of all, this is going to be a little bit hard for me to do backwards, but I'm going to try. But I draw like a circle, kind of a heavy circle, and a dot in the middle, just like that. I think we're okay. Yeah, just like that. And then I do the same thing on the other side. And now I will be the first to admit that I have a really hard time getting my eyes perfectly symmetrical. Okay, so I start like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my other colored Sharpie, and I'm actually going to be kind of taking the black and bringing it down into the center, and this is going to kind of make that natural looking kind of, you know, striation or what, striation, however you say it, kind of eye. So what I'm going to do, you see I'm kind of doing like this, and you see it kind of takes the black. So I'm actually going to have to redo the black. Okay, and it's very hard for me to do this backwards, so I'm just going to have to do it a little bit and then show it to you, like that. And so you see that black kind of gets carried into it a little bit. And it's okay that I've messed up the center, like that. I'll come back with the black and fix that. And I do very, very, very simple artwork because I am not very good with the pen. Balloons are my only artistic talent, really. So here you can see, there's the beginning of them. And then now I'm going to go back with my black. And if you have a white Sharpie, then you could also put, you know, the stars in the eyes to make it look even better. Or I mean like a white pen, but I don't have one at the moment, so we're just going to do without. Okay, so there we go. You see we have our two eyes. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of, you know, give them some light brows. Well, maybe not so light. Again, I'm not so good at doing this upside down. Just like so. So you see we have our face really starting to take shape. I'm going to pull out. So a lot of this manicuring I'm going to do, you know, there's a fair amount of abuse that he's going to take when I actually put the head onto the body. So a lot of that manicuring I'll do at that point in time as well. So there we go. Here we have the head with the eyes. He's about ready to go catch a wave. Cowabunga, dude! And we will see you later when we learn how to make the hands. So here's our head. You see there's the back of the head. I need to put another piece down here and here. So I will take a picture of it when it's finished. And of course I'll put a picture of the entire finished piece once we have the whole thing set up tomorrow. So there we go. So there we go.